This is one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world, and some say that this place could be the birthplace of a completely forgotten civilization. But what do we actually know about it? And how did this site get so mysterious? Hi, everyone! In addition to that, we have archaeological evidence that proves humans have been living here since 60,000 years ago. First of all, we didn't really know about the history of this place until 1948, when a team of archaeologists first excavated here. In 2004, a large-scale excavation project began, and this revealed more than 60 different settlements, and in total, there were over 300 different structures. Not only that, but they also found evidence that people lived here continuously from the Neolithic period all the way to the medieval period. Now, this isn't that strange. For example, we know that people lived along the Nile River for thousands of years, and some researchers believe that this may have had something to do with their religion or beliefs about the afterlife. There are random stone hinges, there are broken pillars, there are old platforms, there are old drainage systems. They ruled from 1530 to 1775. But eventually, the British East India Company took over, and that is pretty much the end of the story. So today, all of these ancient structures are still standing. Of course, they are in very poor condition, but they're still standing, and hopefully in the future we can learn more about them. There is so much evidence that people lived here for thousands of years, yet we know nothing about them. The only thing that we know is that they lived along the river. They farmed the land, and they built some strange structures. But what happened to them? Where did they go? And why don't we have any written history of them? Unfortunately, we may never know the answers to these questions. But one thing is for sure. This is one of the most mysterious places in the world. We don't have much evidence after the 18th century, but just imagine how mysterious this place must have been when it first got built. These structures would have looked amazing, and there would have been hundreds of people living here, but somehow this place was completely forgotten, and it wasn't even mentioned in any books. There are temples, and there are also mosque remains, and this shows us that there was definitely life here for thousands of years. We also have evidence that people lived in huts, but then later they started building brick houses. First of all, the government doesn't really care about this place. They haven't put up any signs or anything like that. There aren't even any security guards protecting the site. If you want to visit this place, you can just go there. You don't need any permits or anything like that. However, I would unrecommend you go there, because there are thieves and treasure hunters that are constantly trying to steal stuff. In addition to that, there are landmines nearby, and there are also wild animals that can attack you. So I would stay away from this place unless you're with a big group, and even then, it's probably not a good idea. As time went on, the houses became larger and larger. In fact, in the 11th century, there was a fort that was built here. It's believed that it belonged to the Konali clan, but we don't know for sure. Maybe they believed that the body needed to be inverted in order to reach the underworld, but this is just a theory. The truth is, we don't know why some of the bodies were buried upside down. They built huge pyramids, and then they eventually adopted Islam. But what is so strange about Nanih Waiya is that there is no written history of these people. We don't know if they had a king or queen. We don't know what language they spoke, and we don't know what their religion was. All we have are the structures and some artifacts. But even though they lived here for thousands of years, somehow they completely disappeared, and even then, they couldn't find anything too special. Or perhaps they were wiped out by diseases, or maybe they simply migrated away. There are many burial urns that have been found at this site, but none of them have any markings on them. In fact, even the shapes of the burial urns are very unique. Researchers believe that these may have been used to bury the dead in a specific way, but we don't know exactly how they were used. There are three main types of burial urns that have been found here. These are the black and red ware urns, the plain ware urns, and the grey ware urns. The black and red ware urns are decorated with geometric patterns, and they date back to 800 BCE. The plain ware pots seem to be the most common, and they date back to 600 BCE. And lastly, we have the grey ware urns, which are the oldest type of urns, and they date back to 800 BCE. Whatever happened, they left behind some very mysterious structures. They only discovered a few prehistoric tools. Then in the 1980s, things started to change. In 1981, a new team of archaeologists came to this site, and they decided to dig deeper than ever before. What they found shocked them. They found 2 burials with 30 different ornaments made out of bone. This was strange, because this style of jewelry had never been found in this part of the world. But then, in 1984, they found another burial, but this one contained a skull cap and even more strange jewelry. This is when researchers realized that they may have found something special. We also have settlements from the Neolithic era, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. Now, this is not the only place where we have seen this. For example, we have Murga, and we have several other places that have evidence of human life for tens of thousands of years. But what makes Nanih Waiya so special is that we don't really know much about it at all. It's right between the Yamuna and Betwa rivers, which were considered sacred rivers by ancient Hindus. Even today, these rivers are still important because they provide water for crops and people who live around them. But back then, during ancient times, there were even more settlements around these rivers, and many of these settlements thrived. In fact, it has been said that these 2 rivers may have been the lifeline of an entire civilization that thrived here thousands of years ago. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most interesting places in the world. This is a place where archaeologists have found structures from all the way from 8000 BC to 1500 AD. Some say that there was even a lost civilization that lived here, but no written history of them exists. All we have are some very mysterious structures and artifacts. So today, let's travel to India and explore the mysterious Now, this is an archaeological site in central India in a region called Bund. What makes this place so special is that it contains ruins from all the way back from 8000 BC to 1500 AD. That's almost 12,000 years of history. There are several reasons why this place was never really talked about until recently, but this was just the beginning. Now, there are many theories about this. One of the most popular theories is that there was a catastrophic flood that destroyed everything. The first structure that I want to talk about are the burial urns. Another interesting thing about the burials is that some of the bodies were actually buried upside down. Aside from this, there are a lot of other structures that have been found here, but they're extremely mysterious. Then in the 13th century, the Delhi Sultanate invaded this region, and they ruled over the people for several decades. After that, the Kingdom of Orca took over. Well, there is one good thing about this, and that is that because it was forgotten, it has been preserved extremely well. Now, unfortunately, there are several obstacles that are preventing us from learning more about this place. But overall, this is truly one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.